Now, I want to be really careful in this video, but also really clear. There are lots of people giving advice online who have never actually examined the IELTS exam. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 4 things that are not a good idea in the exam based on all my examining experience. And if you hear these things in a different video, this means that this person has never actually been an examiner or examined the exam. Now, number 1 is using templates. So lots of IELTS influencers say that these are a good way to get band 7 and that it is quick and easy. Now, this is incorrect. This is exactly what the examiner doesn't want in the exam. What they want is natural communication, and we really look for what's called flexible language use. So that means that you can use language in different situations when you're communicating. And that is exactly the opposite of what a template is. So they almost always lower your score dramatically in the exam. Now, if you hear someone else say this, then they are also not an examiner. And that is, you have to use advanced language to get a high score. Now, again, it's not like this in the real exam. It's only at band 8 that you need some very precise language. And then only then, it's not that much of it. If you're examining a band 8 candidate, you might only hear 2 or 3 pieces of very precise language during the exam. And that is it. The rest of what they say will be quite simple because it's good for communication. Same thing with a native speaker. Native speakers, because they focus on communication, they focus on helping the other person understand what they're saying. And so they only use very advanced, precise language when there is no other way to say the same thing. So this is not a key consideration of the exam. Now, number 3 is that you must always explain and give an example to every question that you're asked in part 3. Now, again, this is not correct. It completely depends on the question. So, for example, 2 questions. Question 1, what is your favorite food? And question 2, why do you like chicken? Now, for question 1, that's a very short, very direct answer. That's fine for part 3. Don't start giving an example and explanation because the examiner didn't ask you to. Question 2, why do you like chicken? That's fine. You can explain that and you can give an example. But this is not something that examiners are specifically looking for in the exam. The most important thing is that you can communicate with the examiner, have a conversation, and that is what improves your score. Now, the last one is giving 3 to 4 sentences to answer every question in part 1. Now, in my experience as an examiner, this leads to really confusing answers. So, for example, if the examiner asks you, do you prefer online shopping or do you prefer offline shopping? If you say 3 to 4 sentences to answer that question, your answer actually becomes more confusing, which lowers your score. So if you want advice from a real IELTS examiner who has lots of examining experience, subscribe to this channel, and I really hope you find that information useful for your next exam.